lies Jericho, one of the oldest cities in the world. For 10,000 years, culture and civilization flourished at this ancient crossroad. And it is here where the Arab palace of the Umayyad Empire built one of their greatest monuments, the doomed palace known as Khurbat al-Mashhad. A cataclysmic earthquake struck Jericho in 749, destroying the town and buried its magnificent palace. For over 1,000 years, memory of the palace was lost in the mist of time. In 1873, a team from the Palestine Exploration Fund visited 3 mysterious mounds of earth just north of Jericho. For years, local builders had used the site as a rock quarry, pulling marble columns and fine building materials from under the earth. The archaeologist F.G. Bliss wrote about the site in 1894. The statues and stone columns unearthed there led them to misidentify Khurbat al-Mashhad as a Byzantine or Crusader site. However, in 1935, the Palestinian archaeologists Dr. Dimitri Baranki and Robert Hamilton, the British Director of Antiquities in Palestine, began the first scientific excavation there. They worked for 13 seasons, and what they uncovered was extraordinary, a palace of uncommon grandeur. However, the builders of this magnificent structure remained a mystery, until an unassuming white marble slab gave them an important clue. On it was an ancient ink inscription that read in part, "The servant of God, Hisham." Subsequently, the site was associated with the Umayyad Caliph, Hisham bin Abdullah, who ruled the Umayyad Empire from 723 until 743. The site took on a new meaning. It had statues and paintings, which made this palace unique in the history of Islam. However, war in 1948 put an end to Hamilton and Baranki's excavation. In Palestine, the Umayyad architectural legacy can be seen in Jerusalem's Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa mosques. The Umayyad royal dynasty designated Jerusalem as the spiritual capital of Hisham, Palestine, while establishing a new city, Ramleh, as its administrative center. The Umayyads built cities and towns across the Islamic world. But their desert palaces in Jordan, Syria, and Palestine became a unique part of their architectural legacy. The Umayyads developed water and irrigation systems, which allowed the palace to maintain its own farmland. Hisham's palace was supplied with water through the springs of Ain Duk and Wadi Nuaym, at the foot of the Mount of Temptation. This channel crossed the wadi and led to a reservoir, which fed a stream channeled downward to the palace. The palace complex was built on 60 hectares of land. It featured a palace, a main courtyard, a bathhouse, an outer and inner mosque, a fountain pavilion, and possibly a khan. The khan, or traveler's gate, is on the north end of the compound. It's only partially excavated. There is evidence that several hundred years after the earthquake, it was used again in medieval time. The inn had bedrooms, open courtyard, water rooms. The main gate to the compound was centrally located on the southern facade of the palace. The palace was a two-storied square building with round towers at the corner. The entrance hall of the palace had a vaulted ceiling with benches on both sides. Its interior decoration married Byzantine and Persian traditions and contained human, floral, and animal sculptures and stucco works within geometric designs. It had niches for statues, which were removed and placed in Jerusalem's Palestine Museum, also known as the Rockefeller Museum. The palace was planned around a central courtyard and was enclosed by 4 arcaded galleries. The ground floor was probably used for guests, servants, and storage. On the southern side, a small mosque with a prayer niche, a mihrab, was found. On the western side of the courtyard, a stairway led to a subterranean cold bath. Here, a barrel-vaulted brick roof soared over a private bath containing a swimming basin. Seats were added to the side walls, and the floor was decorated with fine mosaic. Today, where the courtyard once stood, are the remains of a 6-lobed rosette window, which was originally part of the second floor, towering over the courtyard. When the earthquake struck, it fell downward, smashing at the entrance of the cold bath, shattering to pieces. In the 1930s, it was painstakingly reassembled by Palestinian masons and engineers. The design of this unique window was copied in Europe, where it became a circular rose window, characteristic of Gothic architecture. The second floor of the palace remains a mystery. Scientists found it contained wall paintings. Between the northeastern side of the palace and the main was the main mosque. Built on a rectangular plan, it was 400 square meters in size. It was an open-air mosque. Only the southern section had a roof, supported by 2 rows of columns. Located in the forecourt of the palace was a fountain, housed under an octagonal pavilion with a domed ceiling. It was surrounded by a stone balustrade, carved with relief stones and small columns. Its facade was ornamented with floral and geometrical designs, with columns adorned by Corinthian capitals. The main entrance to the bath hall was through a high open archway adorned with statues. One statue, presumably Caliph al-Walid, stood alone with a sword in his hand and 2 lions at his feet. Facing the entrance to the bath was a semicircular room with seats, called an exedrath, where some speculate the Caliph sat. The remains of a 20-meter-long swimming pool were found on the southern part of the bath. The vaulting system was of brick and rested on 16 massive stone piers in 4 rows. The roof rose to a central dome. The vast floor of this frigidaire, or cold bath, consisted of 38 different mosaic compartments, whose design formed a superstructure that was divided into circular and rectangular sub-mosaic carpets. Today, this magnificent work of art is the largest surviving mosaic floor from the ancient world. At the northwest corner of the hall is the guest room, or diwana, with a raised platform covered by the magnificent mosaic known as the Tree of Life. Historians speculate that it was used by the pagans. The mosaic stones used to weave this tree of life, perhaps the world's most famous mosaic, are so tiny that the scene has a woven effect. On the left side are two gazelles, peacefully nibbling leaves. On the other side, a lion attacks a gazelle. This scene has been interpreted as symbolizing the duality of life, good and evil, peace and war. The walls and ceilings of the reception room were decorated with stucco ornamentation. They are partly visible today at the bases of the wall. Most of Hisham's palace unique statues and frescoes can be seen today at the Palestine Archaeological Museum in Jerusalem. Since 1995, restoration work carried out by the Palestinian Department of Antiquities has brought Hisham's palace back to life. The complex now features a visitor center, a mosaic laboratory, and a museum. It has rejuvenated Hisham's palace into a living legacy of Palestine's past.
It is the base. It is the opposite.